When it comes to champions and legends of this industry, there's none bigger than Teddy Demmler. What an outstanding career Teddy had, and to follow in his footsteps was always going to be a tough assignment. But Craig, his son, has done that with distinction. Caught up with Craig on one of his rare trips to Club Menangle. Well, Craig, great to catch up. We've just witnessed the running of the Victoria Cup. Must bring back fond memories, that particular race for you.
Yeah, it does. It does. It was a great feeling in the year 2000, and to race against horses like Christian Cullen and Courage Under Fire and horses like that, it was amazing. And yeah, it does bring back memories to see that race tonight. And yeah, it was a great race, and yeah, it was a great effort by Swayze.
We're going to talk about your illustrious dad very shortly, but as far as your career is concerned, racing at that particular time for you, you were always racing against top-class performers.
Yeah, look, I was very lucky enough to drive nice horses, but Dad held me back for a long time, and he sent me to New Zealand with Robert Dunn to sort me out a little bit, and look, it was probably the best thing that could have happened, and I come back, and I was lucky enough to represent Victoria in the junior drivers 3 times, and then I got the opportunity to drive a nice horse with Dad, and Dad's always had great horses, and I was just lucky enough at that time that, you know, Breeny's fella was around, and I seemed to click with him. He was one of my favourite horses. I just done everything with him, and I just wrapped to drive him and win good races with him.
Craig, you always had the potential, you always displayed enormous ability, but how difficult was it to follow in the footsteps of a legend?
Oh, it was. Look, it was very difficult when I started off. Yeah, the pressure was definitely on, and there was times there when I drove at Moonee Valley, and I remember driving a horse called New York Frank. It goes back a long time, and I was favourite, and I got out-driven by Brian Gath, and I know I was favourite that night, and when I went in under the tunnel at Moonee Valley, I got a lot of things thrown at me and abused, and I thought to myself, this is too tough, it's too tough to be able to handle this, but you know, I was able to sort of pick myself up and get going again, and you know, I was just lucky enough to, you know, a lot of people supported me, and I got good drives on good horses.
But then again, Craig, there's no shame being outdriven by another one of the true legends of harness racing, Brian Gath.
Yeah, look, I was lucky to drive against some great drivers like Brian Gath, Gavin Lang, Ted, you know, my father, and look, Chris Alford, and look, they go on. You know, there's a lot of great drivers, and you know, look, you know, Gavin was one of them people that I really looked up to, and I liked to watch him. And I know Dad always said to me when I was in a race, always keep an eye on him and watch him, because that's the way to learn to be a good driver. And he was the best, you know. So I was lucky enough, and look, there was a tag on me there that I was going to be the next, you know, Ted Demmler or Gavin Lamb. But look, I always said to people, if I was half as good as Dad, I'd be wrapped, you know.
But then again, Craig, it's always difficult to follow a champion like Gavin Lang. When you speak to anyone in harness racing, in particular the Victorians, the admiration and the respect they had for Gavin Lang is just out of this world.
Amazing, and we probably never see a person like that. Look, there's some great drivers coming through. Like, I'm with Greg and Jess and that now, and Greg's a great driver as far as I'm concerned. I've always looked up to Greg. Even for a person that's older than him, he does a super job. James Herbertson, we're lucky enough we've got some good young, hopefully good drivers that can go that next step, which I think they will. Well, definitely Greg has, but James is doing a great job at the moment. And look, for harness racing Victoria, we hope we can get them sort of good drivers coming through, because we definitely need them.
What a wonderful opportunity now in your career to take that next chapter, to be involved with Greg Sugars, who I rate probably as the closest to Gavin Lang we'll ever see, and then also Jess Tubbs. Of course, we've seen Just Believe and Rakiro Rebel score tonight, but that opportunity to work for them must be amazing.
Yeah, look, I was wrapped when I got the opportunity, and Greg rang, and look, I had a nasty fall at home, and yeah, I was out for a fair while, and I had a ruptured spleen and that, so look, I was down in the dumps, and I had to sort of move a lot of horses on, and then, I was just wrapped. I went away and I thought about it, and I didn't have to think too much, but you know, when I got the opportunity to work for Greg and Jess, I was wrapped. And look, they both do a great job. Like, to see, you know, from the outside looking in, you don't realise how much, you know, work goes into it, and to see, you know, Greg, you know, with the training and Jess, like Jess deserves the recognition that that she should get, because she's got everything organised, and that place runs like it's just unreal how it's operated, and it runs to a T. So the two of them seem to click, and they deserve the success they get, and to be a part of it, and to see tonight to win a Group 1 with Recaro Rebel and Just Believe. I'm just rapt to be a part of the stable now, and to be a part of it.
Another horse that would bring fond memories is my Kiwi mate. 78 starts, 15 wins, 31 placings.
He was amazing. He was amazing. I went over to New Zealand. I nearly didn't buy him because I didn't sort of think that he was worth the money. But another good mate of mine's at Butcher. I went and saw him, and he said, Craig, I really like the horse. I've driven him, and he actually taught me to buy him. So, but when I went over and drove him, he was just one of them betters delights that just did what he had to do. And to do what he did, he broke down twice on me, and he broke my heart a couple of times because I didn't think I was going to get him back. But I loved the horse because he looked like he was going to be a real good horse as a 3-year-old, and then he broke down and then come out to his credit and made the Inter Dominion in New Zealand. So I was just rapt to actually even be in it, but to make it and make the final, I was rapt. So I've been lucky enough to be able to drive some nice horses and represent Victoria with some good horses in the Inter Dominion.
And Craig, through the early stages of your career, not only did you have the opportunity to learn from your dad, but people like Barry Purdon, Robert Cameron and Brian Hancock would often call Ted Demmler stables home.
Yeah, Barry, as far as I'm concerned, he's a guy that I've looked up from day one. He's been terrific. He's the guy that sort of kicked me along with the training, there's no doubt. And don't get me wrong, I learned a lot off Dad and things like that. But, I'm rapt to be a part of the Purdons. They've a great name in trotting. And Barry was fantastic. And, at the time when I was younger, we had Trevor Warwick, we had Robert Cameron, we had, Brian Hancock. There's probably Kevin Thomas, there's people like that people probably have forgotten about. But, it was just, I was lucky enough to actually see good horses and how they train them. And, it just showed you how much respect they had for my father to go there and use his property.
You just took the words out of my mouth as far as that was concerned. Let's have a look at your dad's career to some extent, because it's that long. But 1978, the Miracle Mile, Pure Steel, defeating Paleface and Michael Frost, and in 80, running second to Locarno. Just superb memories.
They are. I remember as a kid, when Russell Roberts stayed at our place, my sister and I used to go around, and he used to pick us up and put us on the cart, and we'd go around with Pure Steel just jogging, You don't realise how lucky you are until you grow up to see exactly, they're icons of the sport, those sort of horses, and that's what brought people to the races. And, we're lucky that to even sit in the cart with a horse like that. And like my father said, he was probably definitely the best horse he's ever driven, and probably Precious is probably the best horse he's trained. So, but Pure Steel, he was awesome, and he was tough, and we just don't see horses like that anymore, do we?
No, we certainly don't, unfortunately. But Impressionist, 56 starts for 23 wins and 12 placings. But some of your dad's performances: 5 premierships as titles as a driver, 4 times leading Australian driver, 8 times leading Victorian driver, on 15 occasions, 100 winners or more, 175 being the best. The records just kept flowing.
Amazing. And it's amazing you've done your homework, because people don't realise, especially the younger people coming through, how he was an icon of the sport. And he just got inducted into the living legends out there in Victoria. And he was just rapt. And he's one of them guys that was just, he never rated himself. He was just always took everything in his stride. He was always respectful, and that's how he brought us up. But everyone just loved the way Teddy was, and I'm lucky enough to be his son. So he was very very high, held in high regard, and he deserved all the accolades he got, and to read that record in itself is just something pretty special, isn't it?
Well, let's throw another couple in. 2011, the Gordon Rothinger Medal, and 1987 represented Australia in the World Drivers' Championships.
Yeah, well, that's held up in high esteem for Dad. To go over there and represent Australia and Sweden, he's the second Aussie to go there and win it, and he would have been the first Aussie ever to win it twice. He was very unlucky when he went over to America and to Canada. He got beaten by Ron Pearce, and look, if you speak to him one day, he'll tell the story, but he was very unlucky not to win it a second time. And for him to go over there, there's a lot of good drivers that have gone over there to try and represent Australia to win it, but you know, that's one thing he holds up in high esteem, that he's won, and you know, he deserves the accolades he gets.
Craig, Ted also got a great deal of joy when the Warrigal Harness Racing Club named the stables after him.
Yes, that was another thing. It was supposed to be a surprise, but I think he woke up to it. But yeah, look, Warrigal's one of his favourite tracks hit there in Cranbourne, and look, he drove a lot of winners around those little tight tracks, and it was great that Warrigal could. You know, to give him that recognition, because that was one of his favourite tracks he drove on.
Well, Craig, Ted gave racing fans in Australasia and overseas, when he represented Australia, so many wonderful moments, so many great thrills, and you can certainly hold your head up high with the career you've had. Tough act to follow, but you've done that extremely well.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and look, I'm just rapt to be his son, and look, I might have been hard to handle to start off with, but you know, one thing he did teach me, and in the family, was to respect people, because if you don't respect people, you don't get that respect back, and that's one thing I really have been taught, and I've learned over the years, and I'm just rapt to see what he's done, and I'm rapt to hopefully follow in his footsteps down the track.
Well, Craig, hopefully this is not the last time we see you at Club and Eagle, and thanks for letting us reminisce about one of the greats of harness racing.
Thank you very much.